Hello and welcome. I'm Dan McDermott. This is Google Plus Week, our unofficial look at the world's coolest social network, where we look at some new features and new things that are happening and all the week's news about Google Plus. Joining me is a Google Plus Hangout. Welcome, Harold, and we have Rob. Harold, I know you're in Idaho, right?
Yeah, I'm in Ladd, Idaho, where we have 3 inches of snow last night.
And you are involved with the Navajo folks down there.
Yes, I work with the Navajo Indians. I basically do online training for digital literacy and math programs to help the Navajo Indians.
Awesome. And then, of course, we have Rob Verlander, right? Am I
Hi.
pronouncing that correctly?
You got it right.
All right. Tell me a little about yourself.
I'm in IT, supporting healthcare, and I'm in Bremerton, Washington, is where I live. I work in Tacoma, Washington.
Okay. Awesome. So we've got, I guess, definitely, we always have some folks from the West Coast, and we have one guy in Egypt who might call in. I'm going to ask him about the totally off topic about the big rally they had. Just when he gets on, you got to ask him real quick because the internet there is a little shaky.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there's any internet at all. But anyway, we have a list of topics that I post on my profile. It's publicly editable. Anyone is welcome to get on in there and add whatever topics. So I think each of you guys have brought up a topic for us to do tonight. The first thing I want to talk about is with Harold, and that is a new feature that I guess was quietly rolled out, so to speak, and that is Trends, sort of like Twitter. And I think that was people, I guess the hashtag when they wanted to, am I correct? This was, correct me if I'm wrong, Harold, but I believe that trends were something the users just started doing, and then they sort of incorporated it into Twitter. It was sort of a user-generated thing where they would put the hashtag to sort of let people search for a topic. Like if you're watching the Emmy Awards and you wanted to comment on it, and you wanted to see what other people were saying, like, oh, look at that, or the Oscar, or whatever, someone sang a song, or and they were lip syncing. Like I was watching the X Factor the other night, and Rihanna did the absolute worst lip sync I've ever seen. And someone else was like, oh yeah, we were watching it too. We were saying the same thing. It was funny. So they've kind of incorporated that into search. So you want to tell us, what I'll do is I'll bring it up on my screen, and then you can kind of walk me through here.
Breaking Dawn premiered this morning, and at the midnight show, they've grossed over $30 million from midnight showings early Friday morning for that movie.
That's more than even my show grosses. Can you imagine? Yeah, talk about first world problems. And then okay, so you got the trends over here, and then I'm getting my mice mixed up. I've 5 computers and 2 different mice. I'm trying to. Okay, so here we have the trends, and there's a couple things here. Once you, of course, as before, you can select the most recent for the absolute latest, and that would come in handy if, in the example I used, if you're watching the Oscars and you want to see what other people are saying about it. You'd want the most recent posts, and then the best of is just sort of, I guess, what's hot. And then here, you can select when you do a search. Let's do a search. What's that's Twilight, or let's type in Breaking Dawn just to Breaking Dawn. I'll select that. And then let me turn that down. So now I've got Breaking Dawn in my search. I've also got several keyboards I'm trying to manipulate here. And then I'm going to select, I can choose to get them from everything from posts or people and pages and Sparks and Sprite. Okay, so I guess if you were looking for the official page for Breaking Dawn, that sort of thing, you could do that. And then you can select it if you're only interested in certain in your circles, or from you. That's interesting that you can select your own posts if you're searching for something. Because I've had to do that before, Harold. I'm sure you have, where you were trying to find something you said at some point, and in the past you'd have to kind of just scroll down, and it was a bit time consuming, right? So that's neat. So yeah, that's cool. I'm glad that came about. And we'll see how that works. I'm sure it'll especially during big events like when they killed Gaddafi or whatever, those sorts of things. If you're just looking for the latest observations, or especially during something a bunch of people are watching, like an award show or whatever the event is, or on election night, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, well, you were talking about hashtags. Hashtags actually started with Google search. Google search, we would type in the pound sign and then something like that. And then, but it really went wild with Twitter. And then everybody started doing it in Twitter when they wanted, for instance, when I do a hashtag for Navajo, I go over to Twitter and type in pound sign Navajo, and I can get all the Navajo posts, and I put them in my website, any articles and stuff that came up.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I'm excited. Every little thing it's a neat, and I just saw the first story about this. I was getting cleaned up for the show a couple hours ago, and I saw it. So that's neat. And of course, I don't know who blogs about it first, and then it just goes everywhere. Okay, so trending topics and some of the new tweaks on the search. It's odd, isn't it, that 17 weeks or probably 19 weeks. Because I think this show emerged from McDermott Report, and then we started talking about Google Plus on it, and then we started this show.
Yeah.
So really, I guess Google Plus has been around, I guess, since July, right? And then open, semi-open, and then now they're just finally getting search working well, which is funny because Google, you'd think the first thing they would have is a kick-ass search engine, but alas. All right, so see another thing on our publicly editable topic list. I see Google Plus traffic gets a boost from pages. This is interesting because CNET has a chart, and on my profile, and I'll have a link to this in the description of the video because most people will watch this on YouTube after the fact, not live. But there's a chart here. I can't bring it up because it's a copywritten chart, but it shows sort of like they had their general growth, a million or so, and then they opened it up. They stopped the invites, and then it shot up to like 15 million. This is weekly visits, and then it leveled off, and then it kind of went like this. But now it's back up. Now the brand pages have come in. It's back up to the highest level. It's still only about half what it was on the opening day, that first week. But it's at the highest level it has been since then. And so that's good. I think that brand pages are going to be huge, a huge driver of traffic. They're not fully functional yet, in my opinion, so they're not done with brand pages. And I started one for one of my newspapers just to see, and I really haven't done too much with it. I don't see the relevance. You can't add anybody. They can add you, and I'm like, am I going to aggregate content on there I'm just like going to keep my personal page, and I guess at some point I may do a brand page. I don't know. I guess it would work if you're a very well-known brand like Ford or Apple. If you are trying to build a brand, it's not the best place, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. What I found out with my brand page, I've had it up for a couple weeks now, and I only have 5 or 6 followers. And I really don't want to bring people to my brand page because I do advertising on my Navajo page, and if you have a business, there's no way you can advertise on your brand page. You can't make any money off of it. So I wanted to send people to my website. So I just do post on my articles about my website and my personal page, which I have 3,000 followers, and send them to my personal websites, which I want them to go to. That's the main purpose of that.
Yeah, I agree. And then, but I think it's cool. They're going to be tweaked. You can't. One guy actually, I don't know if you can advertise. You're supposed to get people to go to your brand page from your regular site. So on Ford Motor Company, where they have their little Facebook icon, their little Twitter icon, they can have their Google Plus icon, and that'll take them. But their badge, right? But a lot of us would like to simply, there's no point in putting time into a brand page if I can't straight up advertise directly on Google AdWords, especially in my case where, like, if I want to advertise this show, I'd want to advertise it on Google because everyone who uses Google Plus is a Google user. And so,
Yeah,
but I don't think you can do an ad, right? One guy
no,
did it.
Yeah, that's true. The biggest problem, everybody is complaining about the brand names. An example, there can be 6 or 7 Ford Motor Companies or 6 or 7 Navajo People pages. They absolutely, you can make the exact same name as any brand name and put up as many pages as you want about that.
That is a problem, and that's one of that's our next topic, actually. So, but yeah, I think brand pages are cool. I'm excited about them, but it's basically useless to me in its present form. But then I'm a unique case. I think if you're TechCrunch or whatever, but basically it's a hassle now because there's not really much benefit, and now you've got to get your person who tweets for you and Facebook's posts for you. It's another thing she has to do or he has to do, right?
Yeah.
For what benefit? I see national brands that don't have that many followers. I mean, obviously Britney Spears, she's going to get some followers for a number of reasons. So I just, it's not there yet, but it's still in open beta, right? And it's a new feature. So we're happy they're here, despite the fact that they're largely useless, in my humble opinion. All right. Okay, next up, I want to talk to Rob. But basically, this is just a total scam. We want to talk about the Kindle Fire. So I'm going to ask Rob. Rob, tell me what the Google Plus experience is like on the Kindle Fire, and then we'll kind of merge into, is it cool or not? So let's tell me, just first of all, that question. What, you got a Kindle Fire?
I do. I'll put it up to the
basically an Android BlackBerry Playbook.
You can see I've actually got Google Plus on there. The problem with it is that it's not very well integrated. It's basically a mobile web page. My phone is much better integrated than with Google Plus with an application, and
it's not the same app.
Oh no!
Oh, I didn't know that. Is it a special Kindle Fire app, or it's just the Android tablet app?
It's neither. It's the website, and
it's mobile. They don't even have an app.
It's a mobile. Right, it's a mobile implementation of and it's a problem, and it's going to be a problem for a lot of the Google services. None of the Google services are available on the tablet, and it's definitely a problem for me because I'm a big consumer of Google services.
Can you read Gmail on it?
You can. In fact, if you look at this thing, you'll see that. There's tabs in there for Gmail and Google Plus and Docs, and so you can actually get there. It's just clunky. It's just a mobile website implementation.
Well, in their defense, though, it's only a Wi-Fi device. There's no cell phone attached to it, so theoretically,
no camera.
But anytime you're using it, you would have fairly fast internet, faster than your typical cell network would have. But still, if you're stuck, a native app, you can't beat it. But I still prefer, I vastly prefer the browser on my desktop computers, that experience over my mobile phone.
Absolutely.
Even the native app on my Android phone. But you're saying that you prefer the native app on the phone over the browser version on the tablet. I'm curious.
I would think I would prefer would be a tablet optimized custom app.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'm sure. Is that coming? Have you heard rumors about that? Anybody?
Right now, it's pretty closed. It's a pretty closed environment. There's no Google services whatsoever, no Google apps whatsoever. So I doubt seriously it's coming soon.
Because it's the Kindle Fire, or because or they don't have them on Android tablets?
Because it's a Kindle Fire, because it's an Amazon product, and it's kind of a walled garden.
Yeah, that sucks for Amazon and for everybody, because they really should. I mean, I was thinking about now you've caused me to change my opinion. I was getting ready to get a Kindle Fire, but then I was interested in this. What about the Nook Color? Is that going to be?
I think it's got the same problems. I think the Nook Color is a little bit more hackable. Although it sounds like I'm going to be able to do what I need to do to get this thing to work for me soon enough. I'll end up hacking it, putting a different ROM on, probably sooner rather than later.
Huh.
Because I do need the Google stuff.
Well, I assume the actual consumption of Amazon books and things like that is a positive experience on the Kindle Fire.
Oh yeah, this is definitely something I could get from my dad, for example. And I'd say that my dad's as much of a geek as I am, and he's been rocking a Motorola, the original Motorola Droid for more than a couple of years now. So, but yeah, this is definitely something you could get for somebody who's not really up on technology. It's fairly easy to use. You don't see any of the Android at all. It's got a heavy skin on it. So.
Now I heard that you can do a launcher. You can replace the default launcher. Although I've heard it's very good for its stated purpose.
Right.
I was reading that somewhere. I can't remember where. One of the edgy blogs, like a TechCrunch type thing, but it wasn't TechCrunch. And they said yes, you can in fact replace the default launch, the Kindle Fire launcher with another Android. With other Android launchers.
Right. So you have to go through a process where you root the device, and then you can go ahead and get launchers, and also go ahead and download the Google services and products. So I'll end up doing that, I'm guessing, probably within a month or so.
I'm really curious if you do that, if you can give us a heads up, and give us an update on this, because that's a deal breaker for me. So it really is not an iPad competitor. It's a different.
It's a different animal entirely. It's meant as an Amazon digital services consumption device.
But see, they don't market that way. If you look on their website, if you go to Amazon.com and type Kindle Fire, let's look at. In fact, I'm going to do this right now because they're being disingenuous. Then, if it's as ghetto as you say.
It's not ghetto. It's a nice product. I mean,
well, I was being flippant, perhaps. Yeah. Let me show you what I'm talking about here, because they are absolutely marketing this as an iPad competitor or as an alternative to the iPad. So I'm going to right on I just went to Amazon.com, and then I'm going to click on the Kindle Fire, and right there, let's look at the reviews. What people are saying about the Kindle Fire. Let's see here. Number 1, the first easy-to-use, affordable small-screen tablet. Revolutionary. Number 2, Kindle Fire, seamlessly, blah, blah, blah. Affordable price tag. Number 3, less than half the price of the Apple iPad, which starts at $4.99. Next, Fire gives me the features I want at a price point that's less than half of the iPad 2. Next, marvelous device. Kindle Fire, more likely to be the first successful tablet not sold by Apple. See, they're not marketing it as a consumption device for Amazon products. They're marketing it as don't buy an iPad, buy this, right?
Yeah,
and you're saying that that's misleading. At least if you're a Google, if you're like us, we're Google geeks, and we want all our Google products, and we want them to run natively or fast.
Right. And no, none of the Google services are available natively. Basically, you're going to get to Google using a mobile web browser, WebKit browser. So I don't know how disingenuous it is. I think that it is what they say it is. You can download Angry Birds app, that sort of thing. It's not completely locked into just Amazon stuff. They certainly have a lot of applications that you can download and use, but for perspective of trying to use Google products, it's difficult.
Well, but when I say disingenuous, I'm saying that if someone is thinking, I don't want to spend $500 on an iPad, wow, there's this other thing, the Kindle Fire, that's $200, and maybe I want to wait for the Nook or whatever, and then I go to Amazon Kindle, and half or better of the little blurbs that they're using to promote their product are saying it's less than half, it's half the cost of the iPad, less than half the cost. So I would assume that, well, instead of buying an iPad, I'll buy the Kindle Fire, and then I discover that, well, gee, it's got crutches. for the application. So really, that's a potential deal
Yeah,
breaker
I
for
don't
me.
know what to say. That's all true.
Okay, you're just being more diplomatic than I am, I think, Rob.
Yeah, I'll end up hacking it.
Not that it's not worth
Yeah,
$200.
yeah. Well,
It's
I'm not
absolutely
saying
worth
it's bad.
$200.
Exactly.
I mean, that's less than a phone.
That's the point.
You know.
Right. I'm definitely keeping it, and I'll end up making customizing it in a way that I'm sure that Amazon wouldn't appreciate. But
That's okay. You medical guys, you get in there and, we don't understand what you do, but and you probably got $200 to blow anyway, so it's no biggie. All right, Harold Carey, what are you thinking about this? Am I right that this is disingenuous marketing on Amazon's part to market this as a true iPad alternative?
Well, it's what it is. The talk I've heard about it is it's basically a price point breaker. So the people who are going to use this is the talk all over the internet. The people who are going to use this are the people who read books and want to go on the internet and email their relatives. And it's a really great price break for people who want to read books and email their relatives, but nothing else. But the one of the things that really I thought I was getting a really great deal, because when you have a Kindle, you get free access to the cloud. You can download books and stuff, and it's like free wireless. Well, I thought, oh, that's going to be cool. I'm going to have free wireless access with the Kindle Fire. No, the Kindle Fire, you have to have a wireless connection. You have to be somewhere where there's a Wi-Fi. But the other products, you don't have to be. That's why I didn't think I was going to buy it and say, oh, I can take this with me on a trip and use it anywhere and get internet anywhere without having a hotspot.
Yeah, I think they were clear on that. I mean, I think when I looked at it, because I looked at what Amazon's promoting it, because it's important to actually look at what the product description is, not what you read in blogs. Because as I do my research for this show and being in the news business, as I look at things, I discover that there's a lot of really bad writers out there that are writing on prominent websites, and sometimes they get it completely wrong. And folks who write about things they don't even know about because for whatever I don't know, but and then the aggregators and on and on. So I think. I mean, I may still get one because I was thinking, I just bought this book. The first book was Aragon and something, and then Brissinger, and now Inheritance. It's about the kid and the dragon, whatever, because I'm like a Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter fan,
Right.
I still live in my parents' basement with my Star Wars toys. No, I'm just kidding. And but I'm into all that stuff, and sort of escapism, whatever. And but anyway, once I bought the book, I got it at Walmart, I think. And I got home and I was like, this is bulky and kind of inconvenient. And I'm in the print business, right? I own 3 newspapers, so I'm a print guy. I'm pro print. God bless paper and ink. I buy a lot of it. I spend like 6 figures on printing every year. And so then I got the book. I was like, man, and I was like, this would be cool if I had this on a Kindle. And so I'm still thinking about getting the Kindle Fire. Then I heard that you should really look at the Nook. You won't go wrong with either one for their stated purpose, but you should look at the Nook. But really, I think Amazon's the leader. I think they're going to take off. I think right now, I think Barnes & Noble, the Nook, it's going to be like Yahoo, and Amazon's going to be like Google, and you're just going to see this, the gap's going to widen. I think, despite what I said, and I think it's legitimate, fair criticism, but I think the Kindle Fire is going to be a really hot product, especially for the holidays. They got it out just at the right time. And a lot of people have been on the fence, like, oh, an iPad, I'd love one. But it's expensive.
Too expensive.
And then this other thing, and it's just great. I mean, they're gonna break even or more or less from what they're saying. It costs a couple $100s to produce them, but I guess they're only sold. I mean, there's no Amazon store. I don't think you can buy one except through Amazon, correct?
I don't think that's true. I think they're going to be available almost everywhere. You can buy the other Kindle devices at a lot of places, including Target, and I think these will be generally available also.
Kindles. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see. And then I guess there's another rumor that they're going to have a Kindle phone, or Amazon's going to put out some sort of phone. I'm not sure how that ties in, how they can scam that and say that that's an Amazon consumption device. I mean, how can you possibly read, I've tried. I mean, I actually have the Kindle app on my phone, and sometimes if I'm in bed, I can't sleep or whatever,
Well,
I'll look at it.
the way they're going to do it is basically they're going to use with the same as the iPhone. You can buy the Kindle app for your iPhone and download books and read them on your iPhone. It'll be just another way to sell their books. That's the reason they say they're actually making a loss on the Kindle Fire, but it's basically a book reader, and they're making all their money from selling the books. And what's wonderful, people saying, is being able to read the New York Times on your Kindle Fire and all those magazines. They have exclusive contracts with all these magazines on the Kindle Fire that nobody else has.
They're pretty clunky, though. I downloaded a couple of Condé Nast magazines, and they don't work very well. It's surprising. They're very polished looking. Got Wired on there, for example, but it's kind of clunky. They and take up a bunch of space off your disk. It's like a quarter gig for, say, the current version of Wired. So.
Well, let me ask you: have you used an iPad, Rob?
I've not.
Because I'm curious how how it compares to the iPad experience. I got a buddy of mine who's in politics, and he got that daily newspaper from News Corp as soon as it came out. I don't know if he still uses it, and I haven't heard anything about it. I don't even know it's going to survive. It could be another MySpace money-sucking disaster for News Corp, or it could emerge fine. But I think they made a mistake only doing it on the iPad when they should have done a web version, and I mean still charged,
right.
But put it on all these different platforms, right? I mean this clouds things, because so many. It's another thing to have to develop for. If they can bridge that gap between the you call it, I'm going to paraphrase you probably unfairly, crippleware version of Android. But as this device is going to be so popular, it is a form of Android. If they can get it to where they can get good versions of things like Google and all these other Android applications, then it's going to be a huge boost for Android, right?
Yeah, it would be. Again, none of the native Android applications, maps, anything else, docs, none of this stuff that they have applications for are available from the Amazon website. You can't get any of that stuff. So, and for me, that's difficult. I definitely am a Google user, and so that I'll end up having to jailbreak this thing to.
Yeah, one of the things that's nice about it, this is introducing our next subject, is Amazon has music that you can download and play your music on that, which is really nice. And that brings us to our next subject, I guess, is Google Music that just came out.
Yeah, I want to talk about, I guess Oleg was going to join us and do a thing, but let's do that. We'll get Oleg next week, or if he shows up, he can chime in on it. I haven't really used it, but I don't know, David, have you, I guess, Harold, have you done it?
Oh, yes.
Okay, let me get David in here real quick, and then Harold, you tell us, because David, we finally got a topic that David was comfortable talking about. David Cheney, real quick, tell us what state are you in?
Oh, what state?
Yeah, or country or?
Oh yeah. No, I'm in Texas.
Oh, okay.
But I just got signed up for the Google Music, I think earlier this week, and it has Linux support. I was surprised. So
give us a quick 45-second description of exactly what it is for folks who don't know.
It's sort of like a music service that's going to take your entire music collection. Doesn't matter where you got it from, whether you pirated it or you copied it from your CDs or downloaded it legally, but it'll take your whole music collection and store it on Google servers and make it available for you no matter where you are. So as long as you have a browser that can get to Google, you have access to your entire music library.
And is it convenient in the way that when I take a picture on my Motorola Photime, which takes horrible pictures and horrible video, which is a real bummer, but it automatically uploads it to the cloud, not super quickly, and then it's safely in Google Plus, and I didn't have to do anything, and then and it's private. I mean, is it like easy to use?
Right now, I'm using their desktop software that's automatically uploading my entire music library, which is going to take a while. So it's nice that the application for the desktop's pretty well done. It sits in the background and just uploads while you're doing other things. And then the web interface is, it's kind of tied into the Android store, so you can buy music on there. So it's kind of like iTunes in that way, but you don't have the 30 megabyte iTunes bloated application install to use it. So those are two things I like about it. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to try the Android app for the phone because I have an old Android phone which won't run the newest app, which I would need to try that out. But I can still bring it up in my browser on the phone and play music. And like right now, like I said, it's pretty well integrated with my computer, uploading all of my music for me. And I bought an album off of it to try it out, and also because the price was good, I bought a brand new album for $5. And I've used Amazon MP3, download service, and found the price pretty competitive. So, $5 a new album, I figured I'd go ahead and do that.
I can't imagine how many hard drives Google has.
Yeah.
But it's exciting, Harold. It's exciting because if you think about it, I mean, we've all had hard drives crash. It's a moving part, and eventually it'll die. And it's so as there are certain things like video editing, or when we lay out our newspapers, it's so much stuff going on. I can't imagine in the near term that really being on a professional quality scale able to be done in the cloud because of the speed involved and the throughput. But for most things like listening to music or what have you, I think this is exciting because it really turns your computer less into a storage device and more of just a terminal to where your stuff really is safe and secure somewhere in the cloud. What are your thoughts on Google Music?
Well, what's really cool about it, this is something that nobody else has, is you can get a song, you can take your song, and you can post it to your circle, and other people can listen to it for free, and if they want it, they can buy it. Nobody else will let you do that. This is a copyrighted song that you can put up on your website and let other people listen to in your circle.
Is that any song or only one you've bought or obtained, through Google Music?
They didn't set any limitations on it as far as I could see. It's basically any song that is in your library. As far as I know, any song that's in your library, you can do that up to. And another nice feature is I downloaded every single free song. They had a whole bunch of broke free songs. They have about 15 or 16 albums of every single category, like New Age and all that stuff that you can download for free. Totally free. And so the first thing I did when I signed up for Google Music was downloaded every single one of their free things and started listening to them, and they were really good. They have Harry Connick Jr. and a bunch of other people, and something in every single category, at least 3 or 4 songs for free.
Yeah, I think that's cool. And Rob, are you? I guess you're a music buff.
I uploaded about 12,000 songs during the beta. It took roughly 4 or 5 days to get it all up there.
My God, are there 12,000 songs?
Oh yes. What are they? They're boasting something like 13 million songs available to be purchased from Google, and they haven't signed Warner yet. So,
what genres do you not like?
Oh well,
what music do you can't stand?
I have a difficulty with rap, especially when it starts to get misogynist. But otherwise, a lot of classical. The reason I'm able to hang out here now is because my wife's off doing a performance with her the Bremerton Symphony. A lot of rock, a lot of blues. A lot of music, and some of it's ill-gotten. A lot of it is ripped CDs and purchases from Amazon. But It's a very cool product. But I do have a correction for you, Harold. You definitely have to purchase something to be able to share it. I couldn't share something that I uploaded to you.
Okay.
That they would have some real copyright problems with that, I think.
I use Napster to Go, which is legal now, and it's like $15 a month or something, and I pay every month. And the way it's cool because they have just about every single song you've ever heard, and you can stream it, you can download it, and then if you don't pay, it just stops working after 30 days. And so, and if your computer crashes, I used iTunes initially years ago when they first started it, and I bought some songs for, I guess, 99 cents each, and then I forget what happened. My computer crashed or something, and I went to download them again, and they wouldn't let me, and they said that, oh, you're supposed to back them up. And so I lost the song. I said, well, I've paid for them. And they said, sorry. And so I said, screw Apple, and I never used iTunes again. And they lost the customer. And I buy a lot of music. But now I don't buy any music because, why deal with it when you can pay $15 a month? It's like Redbox, the Redbox effect. You can rent a movie for $1. Why would anyone duplicate a movie now? You know what I mean? Like you get the Ripper and you make the DVD and you're sneaking like a kid sneaking a cigarette or a beer when they're underage, and it's exciting, But what's the point if you can rent it for $1? And I don't know why anyone buys a movie now for 15 or whatever they are, $20. I mean, you're not going to watch a movie 20 times in your life, unless you're a teenager and Titanic just came out, I guess. But my goodness, I don't know. So I think it's so exciting to see these things happen here. And then we have is Google Music available in Brazil? We have a Brazilian with us. Do you speak English or just Portuguese?
Yeah.
Portuguese?
I speak English.
Let me get
Can
your.
you hear me?
I can barely hear you. If you have a volume switch, welcome. Both of my sisters lived in Brasilia before I was born. And they both spoke fluent Portuguese. And we've lost our only Brazilian guest. There she is.
Well, I'm just trying to get my volumes up. Is it better?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. So tell me, are you? I guess Harold, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
We've hung out a few times.
And is Google Music available in Brazil yet?
No, some people was able to sneak in, do a little something and get it, but most of the people can't.
Yeah, I know there are scams out there, and I'm sure they'll become more easily gotten, and that's a whole thing. But yeah, it must be frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of things that they say are now released, and you're like, no, they're not. There's only in the U.S. or Canada or whatever. It's very frustrating.
I hate that, even with Google Plus, because they rolled out some features, and we are so excited. Oh my God, a new feature! And when we look, nothing for us. I still haven't got the chat feature that you can chat with your circles. So I still haven't.
You don't have which feature?
On Google Plus, now you can chat on Gmail with your circles. If someone is in your circle, you can chat on the Gmail chat that is on the left side of the Google Plus page.
That's funny that they wouldn't roll that out in Brazil.
Some people got it, some people don't,
Is Orkut, that's big where you are, right?
What?
Is Orkut big where you are?
Yeah, it's still very big.
It's based there, right? Or was?
I think they had an office here, but I don't know if it's based here.
I'm just asking you some Brazil questions because it's not every day I get to talk to someone from Brazil. Are you in Brasilia?
Okay.
Where are you? Where in Brazil are you?
No, I mean northeast of Brazil in a city called Teresina, which is very far away from Rio, São Paulo, the most Brazilian big cities.
Brazil, just for folks watching who are in the United States who aren't really familiar, I mean, they know it exists, they don't know much about it, but it's a big country, huge. It's very long, right? And
Yeah.
it's had a terrific economy. There's a great 60 Minutes story about your former president, and I guess you guys are you're conquering you're turning sugarcane into gold, right, down there, because you're lucky. Because
Yeah.
we're all trying to figure out a way to not burn oil and not have to buy oil from other countries. And Brazil's lucky because their climate's perfect, so they can grow sugarcane really easily
Yes.
there, and they use that for gasoline. And the United States, we typically use corn because sugarcane doesn't grow well in the United States because of our climate. The problem is, I think sugarcane is several times more efficient. In other words, like if you than corn, if you grow, because obviously sugarcane is sweeter than corn.
Yeah.
And so if you're lucky enough to have a climate where you can grow sugarcane per acre, you can get like 5-10 times as much energy per acre if you're going to convert it into a fuel. And so that's what Brazil's done. I think now you're totally self-dependent on you're not relying on any other country for your energy needs. Is that correct?
No, not at all.
Yes.
In fact, here we have a big oil source under the sea. So Petrobras is actually trying to get the oil under the sea, and they have huge money, and most of the Brazil oil come from there, not really from sugarcane. But it's a debate here because sugar cane can be good for oil and stuff, but also can be bad because you have to, take every plant out to grow sugarcane, and that can be a problem.
That's
And
exactly the problem we had because I interviewed a guy in 2006 about corn because everyone's excited about corn ethanol,
yeah,
and he said you would have to plant virtually the entire landmass of the United States to grow enough
exactly.
corn, and so you probably have less of a problem because sugarcane is much more efficient. You can get a lot more, more ethanol
Yeah, I
from,
know, but
but still it's an
it,
issue. It's not the perfect solution. And then it drives
it's
up the
not.
cost of sugar. Then get a cup of coffee, you're paying $6 because all the sugar's going into people's cars.
Exactly. And actually, where I live, we had a solution because there is other plant, which is mamona, that can be used for oil and fuel. But most people don't want to invest in that because, there are oil companies out there and stuff. And the mamona can actually be way, way, way more good than sugarcane. It's way more efficient. It's like 10, 20 times better than sugarcane. Most people don't know about that. It grows on my state, and people don't know that because, they don't want to invest it because they already have another source, just money.
Yeah, money is what makes the world go round and what makes Brazil go around because you folks have a lot
Yeah.
of money right now. You've got I guess you've got the second fastest growing economy in South or Central America. And
Yes, we do. We are kind of doing good right now,
kind of doing
but I
good,
don't
yeah.
think
You're kind of
but
doing
I
okay, yeah.
don't think it's much government achievement. It's just the way the economy is growing. Nobody ever invested in Brazil, and now people are looking at us because we overcome some issues with taxes, with the money being, I don't know how to call this in English, but when the money is undervalued. So we had a lot of issues with that, and now we are getting better and better. So But I don't know. I don't feel this is actually a government achievement. It's just the way the economy is. Even because the government is very corrupt. We are having a president firing a lot of ministers. One, I think, was just fired this week or last week, something like that. So we have a lot of issues.
Is it traditionally corrupt? And I'm going to get off this topic, and I apologize to our Google Plus Week regular viewers, but I just find this fascinating, and I'm almost done. But is it the new administration you're not happy with, or in general, Brazil has a history of corruption?
In general.
Okay, yeah. I mean, America, 60 Minutes just had a story about our politicians on both sides, that they're allowed
Yeah,
to...
just so you have an idea, there is one politician here in Brazil that had built a castle. His home was actually a castle, and he built it with government money. So you can have a little idea.
It's good to be the king. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny. I mean, it's not funny. It's disgusting. But it's in America, there was a 60 Minutes story. I didn't know this. 60 Minutes is an American television program. It's in my opinion, the best program that's ever been on television. And it's I'm a newspaper guy, but they are like a magazine on television, right? And
Yeah,
they started.
I heard about it.
Right, so they've been on forever, but they did a story. I was thinking about them because they did a great story about Brazil, and I don't know if it's available in Brazil. I would hope so, but if you go on their website, you can see it. If you look up 60 Minutes Brazil story, they interviewed your former president, the guy, and
He has cancer now, I think.
oh, that's
That's the
sad.
one we're talking
But yeah,
about.
I guess he was. They didn't know he would do too well, and then your economy just exploded. Not necessarily because of him, but certainly not in spite of him. But
Yeah, I know.
But they even in America, very disgusting story that members of Congress here, and they looked at both parties. It's not a Republican Democrat issue, but they can be in a meeting legally. They can be in a meeting, a Defense Department meeting, and they can be talking about they're going to award Boeing or Lockheed or whoever a contract, and they can go out and they can buy stock in that company before the information's public, because they know they're going to get a big government contract, and it's totally legal because Congress exempts themselves from most laws, all sorts of laws. So anyway, I'm embarrassed to say.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I have to acknowledge that your country does not have a lock on corruption, unfortunately. So, hopefully, one of the benefits of things like Google Plus and this show and the internet in general is it's more transparency, and the more people know about what's going on, and the easier it is for them to get information, and the more things that are outrageous can be quickly and easily shared to everybody, the less likely that someone is going to be able to build a castle on the government dime, right? But anyway, we got to get back to our tech topics. But how do you pronounce it? Is it Liani?
Yeah, exactly. Liani.
I know a little Spanish, but I don't know. I can't pronounce any Portuguese. Am I pronouncing Liani? How do you pronounce it?
Yeah. Liani.
Liani.
Portuguese.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, my sisters will probably, if either of them are watching or both, they'll be hammering me soon,
Whoops.
because that
I
just
see
tells
that.
me I'm not okay. All right. Okay. Cool. Awesome. So let me go to our next topic, and I'm going to hit Rob up on this. I guess I want to ask everybody here, but our next topic is SOPA. It's the allegedly the Stop Internet Piracy Act, and in a nutshell, the main thing is, in the past, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. You may have heard of the Viacom YouTube lawsuit. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act says that if you have any kind of social community or internet site, and you have users who are posting things that if they, it doesn't make financial sense for you have to preview everything that gets posted. So Viacom sued YouTube, and they said that YouTube it was a bastion of copyright infringement, and the courts found that in fact they were following that YouTube was following the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which says that it's kind of the obligation of the person who is violated, has their copyright material stolen, to complain, and then the internet site has a certain amount of time to respond. And they found that was in fact the case. That when Viacom would complain and say that we have this video of a singer or this whatever song, YouTube would very quickly remove that video. Otherwise, how could you have a service like YouTube that is free? You're giving it away. You can't afford to hire a team of people to sit there and decide if Harold Carey uploaded a video of an interesting class, for the Navajo people, and puts it on YouTube. He's not paying YouTube anything for hosting that, right? He's getting a free hard drive that's accessible by the world. So he benefits. But if they had to hire someone to sit there and watch the entire video and make sure that there's not some Prince, 10 seconds of a Prince song in the middle of the video, then they couldn't give the service away for free. So it's kind of a common sense thing. But if there's a legitimate copyright infringement, then they have to act. Up next, I want to talk about the Stop Internet Piracy Act. It's called, or Stop Online Piracy Act. It's called SOPA for short. And in essence, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act says that it's kind of it's kind of an act on complaint process, where if you upload a video of copyrighted content to YouTube, then whoever owns that copyrighted content has to complain to YouTube, and then YouTube has to take it down. But YouTube does not have to hire a team of people to preview every single video from start to finish to make sure there's no copyrighted content. And there's actually been a couple, there's a news story recently where there are two folks who became famous by singing copyrighted material on YouTube. One is the new lead singer of Journey, and another is Justin Bieber, who you've all heard of. And both of those guys were discovered because they were singing, hit songs on YouTube. They were covering songs. And now I think that it would make Justin Bieber a felon, this new law. And it was in the news. The reason I'm bringing Justin Bieber up is it was in the news that someone has this website up, Save Justin Bieber or something. And then Justin Bieber's attorneys sent her a cease and desist letter saying you can't use his name for this political cause. But then Justin Bieber tweeted or was on an interview or something and said that he supports the opposition to this law. So I haven't heard a follow-up yet. That'll be interesting to find out what the follow-up is there. I imagine he's kind of busy with the whole other issue he's dealing with right now and appears to be innocent of. But anyway, I want to get Oleg, who joined us late a little bit. He's been a bit under the weather lately, and we appreciate him being a trooper and coming out on the show tonight. So, Oleg, what do you think about SOPA or SOPA? I don't know how you pronounce it, but I'm not a big fan. What are your thoughts?
It's like soap misspelled. Basically, the premise initially of this particular... Somebody is echoing over here. Was to prevent foreigners...
Go ahead and try it again, Oleg.
Yeah, so basically initially this particular bill was supposed to help with copyright infringements from other countries. Because right now in the States you can go and, if you choose to sue somebody, you can certainly sue somebody for, either with merit or without merit. Court can throw the case out of the door and everything else. So there are some things in place right now that could be used as remedies. The problem was when as soon as somebody takes somebody's copyrighted information outside of the country, then all bets are off because you can't go after them easily. And so the initial, the reason this law was initially thought of being implemented, or this particular bill, it's not law yet, is to prevent these foreign intrusions, to have some kind of legal recourse for even going after people who are in foreign countries. The problem is that they kind of convoluted it like everything else. It's way too vague in terms of what it actually is going to encompass and to what degree. And basically, it's almost like an open-ended invitation for anybody to sue anybody over the slightest little thing that they use that may or may not be infringement of somebody's copyright. As we've seen lately with Apple and Samsung and a bunch of other people trying to go after each other regarding the patents and stuff. It's similar kind of situation, except now it will be where if you take a piece of clip art that shows Bill Gates, for example, in it, nobody's going to touch you right now. I mean, Bill is not going to complain. But with this new law, he can easily take you to court and sue you. And of course, you have no means to defend yourself compared to what Bill Gates has or any big company. So even though this will pretty much kill a lot of smaller companies because they just won't be able to deal with litigation, which this will open up like floodgates, at the same time, bigger players should be fine. But even if you look at the bigger players like Google and some of the other companies that are considerably withstand the pressure, they're totally opposed to it too, because they're afraid this kind of rigidity will absolutely stifle or potentially kill internet commerce as we know it, because a lot of these websites would be simply shut down. They're talking about blocking IPs at the DNS level, meaning that when somebody goes to yourdomain.com, there's these servers that translate the name, which could be danmcdermott.com. It actually translates it to an IP address, and then that's how the traffic flows across the internet. Well, they're talking about blocking these certain IP addresses at that level, which means that nobody will be able to get to your website. So the fact that you actually have it up and running is irrelevant because nobody will be able to get to it as soon as because of this law, this order goes out. And so that's what makes it so troublesome and so worrisome. That's why most people that understand the internet, understand what's going on, are completely opposed to this kind of law.
It's just like, it doesn't. I mean, YouTube could not exist.
Correct.
YouTube could never have been started under this law. If
right.
you could not, or at least it wouldn't have been free, and then it wouldn't have been this wonderful platform. You could technically go on Twitter and you could post 140 characters of a poem, right? And you'd be violating copyright law. So are they going to have to preview every tweet before they send it out?
Well, it's not just that. I mean, that's one part of the problem. Another part of the problem is that if you have a website, for example, a blog, which is one of the most popular ways how people who do not know how to spell HTML still are able to put content online, so they have blogs, and it means these blogs will just get shut down immediately as soon as any kind of repercussion from if they use something that somebody deems inappropriate or somebody deems copyright violation, then your blog is simply, it's like somebody shut the door. It's no longer there.
And then I guess the procedure, if that happens to you unfairly, I'm guessing it's probably you have to physically type out something and mail it and complain.
I think the way they're talking about is they're talking about pretty much everything being resolved through litigation, which is another horrible idea, because you're going to have not only a problem with a bunch of people not having enough means to defend themselves, but in addition to that, major burden on the court system in the U.S. To deal with all these lawsuits.
And who's the congressman? It's a Texas congressman, right?
There are several. It's actually
this is David Cheney's fault because he's
there is
from Texas.
some Republican congressmen, but at the same time there is a committee of bipartisan. So they're basically both Democrats and Republicans who are signing up to do this. And but of course there's a ton of people who are opposed to it. I mean, the whole Google Plus. I haven't seen a single person on Google Plus who talked about this particular topic say something positive about this law being enacted. So vast majority of people, from what I can see, at least in the universe I'm looking at, are completely opposed to this law, including big companies like Google.
Yeah, I see. It was Representative Lamar Smith in the House, and yeah, this is sleazy. This is corrupt. This is a bunch of music companies who are stupid and want to shut everything down.
Those are the people who are promoting it. is the Motion Picture Association, the Record Association, I mean, whatever, RIAA, the people who have vested interest in keeping their quote-unquote, pieces of music and motion pictures that they own, keeping it so nobody can use anything to do with that unless they pay them whatever they want to get paid.
Yeah, as I was saying to the lovely young lady earlier from Brazil, she was talking about corruption in her country. I said she doesn't. Sadly, they don't have a lock on it there. It's all over, and even in the U.S., this is a good example of just absolute stupidity and straight up. Whoever gives you money, you'll toe their line, even if it doesn't make any sense, even if it destroys, the internet for everyone, and makes all the things that we love about the internet. And we're not talking about, something like the old Napster or LimeWire. I'm not defending that. I'm just saying things like YouTube, the business model would not work under this new law. And it's a stupid
Correct.
law, and it's written by morons. And moron number one appears to be Lamar Smith, Republican of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And this needs to be shut down. Common sense needs to prevail here. Okay, so who else wants to weigh in on this? I don't know if Harold or David, I guess you said you were against it. I don't know if you had anything other than, you're from Texas. Defend yourself, young man.
Well, I'm not native from Texas. I say that in my defense, though. I do like it here.
It's a nice day. I'm just picking on you.
The SOPA, to me, just, I never even liked the DMCA when I first heard about that. And, the DMCA seems downright reasonable compared to the SOPA. There's really, it should be clear to everybody, who's really being protected by this, who stands to gain from it. And everybody's absolutely right. It's going to just stifle all of the, creativity and all of the kind of freedom that everyone's enjoyed on the internet. And it's not even going to, I think, accomplish the things that the, supposedly thing is going to do. We're going to suspend everyone's, right to post what they want, to not have their website domain name get banned, just so that maybe people will go and buy more DVDs, or maybe people will buy more music. It just speaks of corruption or lobbying at the highest level, and that's. I think everybody can see that, but what really has to happen is, what are we going to do to stop it? And I would say about anybody who's on a social website had to have known about this, because, I think about every site that I go to personally was telling all their users, write your representative, don't let this stand. We have to stop this. Trying to encourage kind of a grassroots movement to end this. I hope it's that the bill doesn't get passed. It's just terrible.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody defend it except these guys who were on the take from these corporations,
Exactly.
guys like Lamar Smith. Okay, all right. I guess Rob, what do you think? You just uploaded 17,000 songs. To Google Music. I imagine you might be in some hot water. If what do you think? I'm just kidding. But what do you think about this?
I'm not posting, unfortunately. I think one of the biggest problems is that it does get rid of what they call the safe harbor portion of the DMCA. It means that no longer have the ability to just tell somebody to take down offending material. You can actually go after them and have them taken out of DNS, so that they, for all intents and purposes, they don't exist. Except, of course, it doesn't get rid of the actual ability to attach to it. So if you know what the IP address is, you can get there. So the people that are going to be doing piracy are going to know how to get there. It's not going to stop piracy. The people that are doing piracy know how to get around this provisions. It makes it harder for the rest of us.
That's a clear First Amendment issue, though. To not be able to publish a DNS listing. Don't you think, Oleg, that you could simply, there would immediately be hacks around this? Someone would...
Well, no question. And it's the same thing with the guns. Get rid of the guns, you get rid of the violence. It doesn't work like that. The people who are violent, who are using guns, are still going to get their guns. It's the same thing with this. People who want to get music or want to get illegal movies, they're still going to get it. The problem with this particular law is I posted today a little piece about Google Music with some of the things that I thought would be useful for them to implement, and I stuck in there Google Music logo. Under this new law, they could actually take me to court for placing Google Music logo on my post without getting their permission first, without having a license or anything else, which I think is completely ludicrous.
Okay, let's say you had a site, and you were a competitor of mine, right? You had
Right.
Oleg's Google Plus Week TV show, and I had mine, and I don't like you now because you're competing with me. And could I go to one of your posts and put a comment, put a Prince video embedded in the comment, or upload the lyrics to a Prince song in a post, in a comment on somewhere on your website, and then cause that to be shut down and removed from DNS listings?
I don't want to speak 100% because I haven't read the law itself, so I mean the bill itself, so I can't tell you. From what I've read, it sounds like yes, this would put me in violation. There is no safe harbor, as the gentleman Rob just pointed out. The safe harbor deal with me publishing something that I have, it wasn't me who published it, it was you, which means that why should I be prosecuted for something that it wasn't my idea to put up in the first place? So either you're going to have something in there where every single post needs to be moderated, so you wouldn't be able to post on my site without me finally giving you an express permission to do that, which of course would be such a bottleneck that there's going to be 5 comments a month on anybody's blogs at most, because there's no way you can keep up with all the moderation of everything. Or yes, if it actually gets posted, then the way from what I understand, I could potentially get sued by Prince. Yep.
Wouldn't be the first one. What do you think about Google Music so far?
Number of thoughts, both positive and negative. Basically, for the most part, initially I was kind of obviously intrigued like everybody else, and I was pretty happy with what they had to say. And for the most part, I still am. There is the good things is the ability to post your own music over there and be able to listen to it from any device. I mean, that's definitely a phenomenal feature. Very convenient, very simple to use. That part is great. The part about buying music, even though I like, for the most part, they can just easily go search and buy, the drawback there is it's not cheaper than any other place, which begs the question, if I've been buying music from iTunes or I've been buying music from Amazon, why would I now switch to Google Music if the prices are the same? I mean, it's the same music. Yes, granted, it's maybe a little bit higher in the quality of the bit rate they recorded it, but for most people, it's not even going to be that much audible. You want to be able to tell the difference between the two. So with that being the case, if I'm used to buying from iTunes, I got everything set up, or I'm used to buying from Amazon, what's the compelling reason to switch? There isn't one, because the prices are the same. So that's one problem. I mean, in terms of quote problems. Second problem is in terms of searching and trying to find music that is, in my case, I'm a jazz fan, so I'm looking for a lot of jazz stuff, a lot of fusion stuff, and they just don't have it. They simply don't have it in their catalog yet. They mentioned that they're going to have 13 million, I can't remember if it's albums or tunes, and right now they're up to 8 million, they said, so far. But, many things, and I mean that with all sincerity, many things, I would say more things I searched for I could not find than I could, which was disappointing. So the quantity of stuff is just not there right now. That's the second problem. The ability to push a piece of music to somebody for free, like this gentleman by now, Jeff Caston, today bought a new CD by I don't remember the group name, but anyway, it's one of the CDs that actually showed during the rollout, and he bought it and he sent it out, shared it with his circles, and I was able to listen to the whole thing for free, which is a cool thing. I mean, I don't think anybody is doing that, where you can listen to the entire CD for free one time, but it's set up where you can only listen one time. But at least it gives you a better feel for music than the usual 30, 60, 90-second previews that are of semi-decent quality in a lot of times. In this case, it's full quality, it's full length, so it's nice. You just need to have friends who buy stuff Otherwise, you're not getting that kind of stuff. And hopefully, you do the reciprocal deal and go back and forth. So it's a nice feature. It's not a game changer or a deal breaker to switch to this from YouTube. I'm sorry, YouTube, from iTunes or Amazon. But it's definitely a nice feature to have, and kudos to them for that. In terms of the quality,
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in terms of the quality of sound, I mean, it sounds fine. The player looks nice. The interface itself on the web is a little bit not quite as aesthetically pleasing as, for example, Google Plus is, in my opinion. But, and I thought the same thing during the beta. But, maybe they'll improve it somewhat. But that's not the important thing. I mean, the important thing is be able to easily find music and listen to it and buy it. And that part they implemented fairly well. And you can easily share stuff on Google Plus, like little snippets of music, which is also pretty nice. Very nice option is for people who are into music, like Dan, for example, who wants to put up his own music on Google Music. They can do so with very minimal cost. It costs you $25, and then they basically take 30% off the top for your sale. So that's very nice. I mean, you're able to go and, you have your tune right there, searchable with the Beatles. The only problem is they don't have the Beatles right now, but a separate topic we just discussed. But
they're charging
basically,
$25 to get a song into the store?
Yeah, no, $25 one-time fee to become a member. And then once you become a member, then you can supply as much music as you like, as often as you like, at no additional costs. And then they simply take, you name the price. They don't name price, you name the price. But then they take 30% off the top from the price for every sale. And they manage everything for you. So I think it's a very nice deal for independent people who are starting out. Even the playing field. I mean, you'll find
that's the
their
same
music.
That's the same markup. That's the same cut that Apple takes, right?
Exactly.
That's interesting because they've taken a different approach. Because with the games on Google Plus, they were significantly less of a cut from the revenue from the game makers, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Some things that they're doing, like with Google Plus, they put in this deal with trends. I mean, I don't mean to change topics, but trends. To me, I think Google Plus is going in the wrong direction by just simply copying other people, because they just took it right off of Twitter. And to me, they should be looking at innovating all their products on their own, not copying other people to try to.
I got no problem. I mean, look, Facebook stole Circles, although they had lists or whatever, but everyone's stealing everybody's stuff that's not patented, right?
Right.
And I think trends are helpful. I mean, like we talked about that at the top of the show. I know you couldn't be here at that point, but like if you're watching an award show or a big sporting event, the Super Bowl, and you want to see what other people are talking about that topic, and it's just interesting to see that the number one topic I think was Natalie.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to trends itself. I'm opposed to the concept of copying.
I mean, how hard was that to implement? Someone did
not
it
hard.
in 6 hours.
Not hard. But just
they
should be innovating in my view. There's different ways how they could approach it, and they just simply took it. And to me, but anyway, so on the music thing, to finish up with the music thing, I would say that one of the comments I heard from people, they said that they don't like that the music shares show up in their stream, which is debatable. My initial reaction was, why do you care? There's plenty of posts that you already get in your stream that you do not like or want to see. Well, you're not complaining about that. You're just simply ignoring it. So why not just ignore the music ones too? But people, there's enough people, I guess. I mean, for me, I don't mind having them in there. But other people complain that they'd rather see it as a game, like in the games where they put a separate stream for games, or they have a separate stream for what's hot. I think they should do, just to basically make everybody happy, just set up another link right under the what's hot, call it music, and then show all the music shares in there so people can sit and listen to
They'll
music.
probably do that. Probably what they're doing is they're going to let it go for a week or two.
Probably.
And then, just like I noticed, just in the last couple days, I'm not seeing these irritating so-and-so has invited you or needs help to conquer this city or whatever in my Google Plus stream. Even though I had said I don't want game notices, I was still getting these basically game app generated messages that wouldn't even show up on my mobile device. I'd have to go to the desktop version to see them, and it would be these game app generated messages that were shared with me, right? And I didn't want to be rude and like block the guy. It was like 3 or 4 different people, and so I just dealt with it. But it was pretty irritating when your thing would go off and it was this thing I could care less about.
Right.
But
I think that's a bug.
I think that's gone away.
Yeah.
But I'm
I think-
guessing they'll do it for a little while and then they'll take it away, to make everyone realize how it works. And then after a week or so, everyone complains about it, and then.
Yeah. Overall, I would say I'm pretty happy with the music thing. I do like the fact that you can, other people can share stuff with you. You can easily buy it from there. So from all of that, overall, I think it's a good experience. They just need to, make some little improvements. But overall, I think it's a decent competitor to everything else that's out there, in my view.
Yeah, it's all about the footprint and the reach. And then I don't know if you guys have got anything on this, David. Are you? I think we've already. Did you already talk about music, right? I know Rob is definitely a fan.
Yeah, about the Google. Well, yeah, I did have a little bit more to say about it. I mean, definitely through using it, I found they're definitely going to have to work on a little bit more. I like it's pretty good how it organizes your collection for you. I don't know if anybody out there has had, I think, a lot of people have music collections, and a big thing of using just any program like iTunes or Google Plus or any of the ones is, having it organize all your music for you is a great plus. But I'm finding out here now that it's going through my whole archive and putting everything up there. Is if you have, I have the album of Coldplay that they just put out that I just bought from them, but I also had the pirated copy, which I got like a week before it came out. Well, Google has got my pirated copy now alongside the one that I bought, and it stores both of them. And so now if I want to play that album, I think I found a glitch or something. It'll play both the legit copy and the pirated one, but it'll play song 1 twice, and then it'll play song 2 twice, song 3 twice, and so on. So that's a little annoying. I'm gonna have to go in there and delete that pirated one now that I've bought it. I don't know how many people that will affect, but just kind of it's their interface still got a few rough edges, but I really think that this is a sign of kind of what Google's wanting to do is they give you something free to, like their service where you can get on there and put your whole music collection in the cloud and have it on any device. That's a great carrot to hang out there for people. Oleg was talking about, why would anybody use it if, the price isn't as good or better than the competition. But I think that kind of overlooks the convenience aspect of it that the Google is going to provide, and you're going to see once people get used to and get comfortable using a certain thing, that's all they're going to want to use. So
I see it. I'm looking
Google,
I'm looking at your page there, and I see. Yeah, I see it here. It says someone's got their speakers up a little high, so we get an echo. I'm going to mute you for a second. I see you got the new Coldplay album, and I'm not going to play it, but I could click listen or I can click buy, and but I haven't seen a single one of these notifications, which is troubling because I got a lot of people in my streams, right? And it's a sign that it isn't taken off that crazy yet, that I haven't seen one of these yet.
And I think I have one of the reasons, like I disagree respectfully with David a little bit, is if you're used to iTunes, for example, then Google needs to have something much more compelling to be able to have people switch from iTunes to something else. It needs to be different enough. And where I disagree is, for example, like let's look at my example. I'm looking for something, let's say I found it in Google Plus, like the new Spyro Gyra album, okay? I found it, and it's there. I can buy it, everything else, okay? The only problem is, sorry about the kids yelling here. The only problem is they also have Spotify. And I go to Spotify, and it's exact same album. I can listen to full album at no cost. So what is my incentive for going, and I can listen to it, all day long as much as I want, every day for, 24/7. So what's my incentive to go and spend money with Google when the same album is available on Spotify? And by the way, that album came out 2 days ago. Came out on November 15th. It's a brand spanking new album. They already have it on Spotify, and they have it on Google Plus. I'm sorry, on Google Music. So the question in terms of, David, I don't mean to pick on you specifically. I'm just saying based on your comment, is what is my incentive to go spend $9.50 for this album when I can listen to it on Spotify for no cost? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think the answer to that is what Google's strategy is to be everywhere. People are, Apple doesn't have a social network. Apple doesn't have, YouTube. I think Google's strategy, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to work, but I think it's not a bad strategy, is that they're already people's #1 destination when they go on the internet and they want to look for something. And so from that starting point, Google is trying to lure people in and say, well, we have just about everything here. And as long as it isn't terrible, they're automatically going to get a lot of users. They may not become
You're right.
the leading one, but they will have some success.
But what's your take on my example? How would you see me switching to buying their records if I have Spotify?
Yeah, in that case, you might be a user that they're just not going to hit, but there may be a lot of other users that they are, and I agree it is going to be difficult for people to switch. People are definitely ingrained in their habits. I know a lot of people I work with that use Pandora Radio, and they'll never buy an album ever. They just won't buy it. Pandora's good enough. So you're talking about, what is Google going to do that's going to be different? I think that what they're doing is kind of on the right track, and it's definitely they're a big player in here, and we're going to see what's going to happen. But
I think it's mainly they're just going to copy the basic features of each other, because I mean, when I got I was switching from the BlackBerry, which is like 1980s, right? And I was deciding between Android and iPhone, and I was heavily in favor of Android, and ended up getting an Android phone, even though, as I say every chance I get, the Motorola Photon, which is a wonderful phone, has an absolutely awful camera. But I chose Android because I use a lot of Google products, like Google Plus, and I wanted a good experience for the Google stuff on there. That's basically why I chose Android initially, and didn't even really strongly consider the iPhone. Anthony Clouser, and having an iTunes competitor is another reason, is one less reason that you don't need to get an iPhone or any Apple product, and that's what Google's thinking about. Go ahead, Anthony.
For me personally, I would before Google Music even went into beta, I was using GrooveShark, and then when Spotify came to the United States, I started using GrooveShark. Not GrooveShark. I switched to Spotify, and the thing I like about both GrooveShark and Spotify is that you can you don't have to buy any of the music. You can just just listen to it, and both GrooveShark and Spotify have these at least for the kind of music that I want, which is top 40 popular music. They have a lot of a huge selection, and every once in a while I'll find a song that I can't get that I can't play on Spotify, and that's kind of annoying, but it's something I just put up with personally. And I like what Google Music is doing. I like the ideas, especially from an artist standpoint, like where you can make it so you can preview the song as as short or as long as you want. I like the ideas. I think they're headed in the right direction. If they're targeting the type of user that wants to purchase music. So I'm just not that kind of person. I'm not the kind of person that wants to purchase music necessarily. I just want to be able to listen to it.
Well, as has been said, if you can get something free, studies have shown free is the best way and most popular way to receive something. Rob, any? I think we're about done. Any final thoughts about Google Plus this week?
No, I'm talked out.
All right. Oleg, any
the only thing I would say last week we talked about it a little bit, I forgot about it, is there's a couple of things that they purchased a couple of companies. They purchased the company dealing with circles, which I think would be an interesting something new is coming out in terms of how to organize circles in a better way. I don't remember the company name now, but they bought a company dealing with that. So I think that's one thing. And they bought a second company. Now I'm trying to remember which second company they bought. They bought a couple of companies that have a definite impact. Oh, second one was Apture. And Apture, I think, is going to be a huge deal because Apture was a company that enabled you to easily highlight a piece of any web page, and then on that web you can then find content dealing with that particular topic or that particular word on YouTube and Wikipedia, a bunch of other places on the web. So it's kind of like a sub-search within whatever you're looking at. And I think that is going to be a very useful tool when they introduce it to G+, to bring even more functionality from that standpoint. They just bought Apture and the Circle deal. So they're definitely moving forward on all these different fronts. And I give Google huge kudos for being able to keep up with all this stuff because they're doing a lot of different things, and I think it's only going to get better. That's my final word.
Absolutely. And Harold, any final Google thoughts this week?
No, like I say, I'm all talked out too.
All right, that's fine. I know it's rough in Idaho. It's kind of dry down there.
Yeah, I took a break and had some cheesecake.
I know Anthony was tearing up a sandwich earlier. David, any final thoughts? It's been a good Google week.
I would encourage everybody to get on Google and look up look up SOPA and find out as much as you can on it and find out how to try to do something about it, try to stop it. I know that.
Oh yeah.
I'll be trying to write whatever relevant representative I have here in Texas, and I don't know if my words will get through to them or not, but definitely need to let them know to stop this piece of legislation.
Yeah, unless you got more money than the music industry and the film industry, I guess you're not going to get their attention down there.
Maybe Google's fighting on our side within that regard.
I'm going to start with about the last to arrive and the least lit, but well fed because he snuck a sandwich in there. Anthony, any final thoughts on Google Plus for this week?
I know you guys did talk about the SOPA bill, and I don't want to really, I don't want to dig into that real deep, but I just want to say that it's bad, bad, bad.
We pretty much reached
a
consensus. Yeah, we're not big fans. But yeah, that's the thing. I mean, and it's a complicated issue. That's the problem with some of these issues. They're complicated, and Joe Sixpack doesn't understand them. So they can sneak this stuff through. But just like net neutrality, I've seen that demagogued just ad nauseum. I don't even want to get into all that tonight. We can talk about that next week, but we got to wrap this up. And I've had 2 crashes, so this is going to be a weird edited show. There's going to be like a couple gaps. But anyway, I just this is bad legislation, and they're relying on people being stupid or ignorant, but really we rely on them to be honest, our legislators, and they aren't. And so that's how this sort of thing happens. Our Congress is for sale to the highest bidder, and Mr. Lamar in Texas apparently is a great example of that, in my humble opinion. Okay, folks, I want to thank you all for watching tonight. This is episode 17 of Google Plus Week. It's been a great week in Google Plus. We've had a great week using it. So thanks for watching. We'll be back every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Eastern USA Time. You're welcome to watch live, or you can catch us on YouTube. We're always here. So thanks so much to all the folks who participated, and I will see you next week right here on Google Plus Week.